so for each film, we've been working on a series, and each film follows one of the classical elements. This is the third film in that series. So we made one for water, one for earth. This is the wind or air film, and then we'll make one more for fire. This film started, with many questions, but one of them is, what are ghosts made of? Can we think of a kind of material basis for ghosts, or for the invisible, for the non-visible? And that helped us frame our research into neoliberalism, into the political violence of neoliberalism, which is often hidden. And that took us to Chile, as well as Morocco and a few other places, but primarily Chile as one of the birthplaces of neoliberalism, but with a long history of political violence and resource extractivism, going back centuries. We're looking at these different topics.
I said before that it's a critique of modern thinking, and in the ways in which we have been tracking modern thought, we have highlighted the fact that it's made up of abstractions that are in themselves violent, but also that support and sustain different forms of violence, political violence in general, racial violence, colonial violence, cis-heteropatriarchal violence. So in the film, as it is, and then abstractions are connected to the element of air, right? Transparency and invisibility. And the film, we have air, but the opposite. We have air, but presented materially as clouds and winds and dust and all those things. So it's the same element that prevails in our thinking, but approached differently as ghost. Yeah.
Specifically, a lot happens in the desert. You have a very unique ecosystem. It's one of the driest and brightest or most UV place on Earth. This is why they have satellite facilities like ALMA there. It's also a place where many dissidents, political dissidents, have been buried in unmarked graves. And then there's, of course, a long history of mining, from guano through to copper, through to current day lithium. So a lot happens in the desert. And part of the reason a lot of these things happen in the desert is because it is a difficult landscape. It's hard to enter, it's hard to navigate. Things can be hidden there, even though if you drive there, you'll find giant copper mines or giant lithium mines. We kind of overlook it. It's one of those peripheral landscapes or places. Also like islands, things happen there which the government, the state, or transnational companies, they don't want people to see. So the desert is a very good place to hide things, even though this particular desert is the most transparent atmosphere on the planet.
That is also a little bit about how we got to this desert and to that desert, which initially, the desert in general, initially we had the thought of filming in Atacama, but also in the Sahara in Morocco. And there's a whole story that I'm not going to tell, but maybe we end up talking about it. So that was one of the elements. The second reason is that we were in conversation with Camila Marambio, a curator from Chile, and then she was talking to us about a friend of hers that has this beautiful work on the desert that talks with the winds. And so we thought, okay, so there is something about the wind and the desert. And something else we talked about with Camila is the existence of this whole other continent over the Pacific, along the Pacific coast, which is up there in the air. And then there was Alma. So there was also this fascination with Alma and looking outward. So there was, those things bringing us to the desert, but then as usual, when we get to the site, other things show up.
Suddenly we sort of go in and then we suddenly look out and see a different view.